Hello class, I am Brent, this is DK, and this is Nathan, also known as Nathaniel, and we are presenting on exercise for arthritis patients. Now, to begin, you've got to understand what arthritis is. So, according to the CDC, arthritis is simply the condition in which one or more joints of an individual are inflamed or swelling. However, where it gets complicated is the fact that arthritis describes over 100 conditions concerning the joints, the tissues surrounding the joint, the connective tissues, and or the joint itself. Symptoms can vary, but typically are described as just general stiffness or pain. Some common types of arthritis are osteoarthritis, or the deterioration of the joint itself and the cartilage within it. You got rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, and gout. However, I can't stress it enough, there are many forms of arthritis, and some are inherited, some are developed over time, and they needed to be treated accordingly. So, moving on to our disclaimer, arthritis can be anywhere in the human body, any joint in the human body. Exercise programming must be dressed accordingly, because obviously one individual can have arthritis in his elbow, one individual can have arthritis in his knee, one individual can have arthritis in their hands. It just depends on the individual, and you need to address it accordingly. Another disclaimer that's very important, a lot of doctors and people in the health field will program for muscles surrounding the joint, meaning a lot of people will say arthritis in their knee, need to work on their IT band, any of the quadriceps, any of the hamstring muscles. A lot of those complementary exercises can help alleviate pain in that joint. So, moving on. For our first exercise, we are going to do aquatic walking. Obviously, this is a very low impact sort of exercise, and you can do more than just walking in water. So to create a progression for aquatic walking, you can increase the walking speed, you can walk in deeper water, or you can wear water shoes for added resistance. As a regression, you can just walk in shallower water, or just walk at a slower pace, move at the pace of the client. Specific spa principles to address when cueing someone while they're doing their aquatic walking is creating a good foundation in their legs, having the head to tailbone neutral spine, and this is extremely low impact, and that's what we look for most exercises for patients with arthritis, because we don't want to create violent impact or trauma on those joints that are suffering from it. Our next exercise is seated toe taps, which is just a dorsal flexion in your feet. Zoom down here, you see they're just lifting their toes off the ground. You just sit in a chair with good posture, again, head through the tailbone, pretend someone's pulling a string so it's a neutral spine. To progress this exercise, you can just increase the speed or add resistance bands around the feet, right around the toes. Regression, just slow down the tapping or reduce the range of motion. Everybody's range of motion is going to be very different in their dorsal and plantar flexion. So, according to our spa principles, this exercise can be performed in a seated position. Very stable, very adaptable. Another progression, you can have the client stand on their legs and lift their toes straight off the floor with their back against the wall. Our next exercise are seated ankle pumps, which is the inverse of what we just talked about. That's just your plantar flexion. Sit in a chair with good posture. Pump the ankles up and down, moving the feet through their full range of motion. Everybody's range of motion is going to be different. Progression, you can increase the speed or the number of repetitions. This also creates a very good mind-muscle connection with their ankle and their calf muscles. A regression would be to slow down the speed or reduce the number of repetitions. Spa principles remain basically the same. Stable foundation, neutral spine, knees at a 90-degree angle. Hands can be right here, doesn't really matter. Our next one is seated marching, which is a full flexion at the lumbopelvic hip complex. So again, sitting in a good position with good posture on a sturdy chair. All you're going to be doing is marching in place, 1 foot at a time. You can also do this standing as a progression. Another progression to add is to increase the height of the leg or add ankle weights to create more resistance. A regression, you can lift legs lower or top toes on the floor. Very simple. Basically just reduce the range of motion or add resistance. SPA principles remain basically the same. This exercise obviously promotes stability, and being able to do it standing in or sitting makes it accessible to almost anybody that has the ability to move their legs.
Nice, Brent. All right, Brent, take it down. All right, our next one is going to be seated leg extensions. So first, we're going to sit on the chair with good posture, as Brent has been explaining the whole time here. We're going to have a nice alignment with our spine, core engaged. We're going to extend one leg out straight, slowly, and we're going to bend it back down, and we're going to continue with the other one. A couple progressions for this one would just be to add some ankle weights and increase the number of reps that we are doing them. And a regression is to perform the exercises with a reduced range of motion. A couple of our SPA principles here is this exercise can be performed in a seated position, providing stability and adaptability. Nice. All right, our next one is going to be seated hamstring curls. So with this one, if you don't have a band, you can just, we're going to extend our leg out with our heel on the ground still, and then we're just going to drag our foot back in, adding a little resistance to the ground. If we have a band, if we don't have a band and we're standing, we're going to stand behind a chair for support, and we're going to bend one knee, bringing the heel towards the buttocks, and then we're going to lower and bring it back down. We can add ankle weights to increase the difficulty, and we can increase the number of repetitions. For a regression, we can perform the exercise seated or just reduce the range of motion. Our next one is going to be seated wrist curls. So either with a resistance band or with a weight, we're going to sit on a chair, or you can use a water bottle in hand. We're going to rest our forearms on our thigh, and we're going to slowly curl the wrist up and down. To progress, we can increase the weight, increase the resistance on the band, or increase the number of repetitions. For a regression, we can use lighter weight or just less reps. We can do this seated, and we can do this to engage our core. So our next one is going to be gentle shoulder rolls. So we can be either seated or standing, and we're going to sit with a good posture, and we're going to slowly roll our shoulders forward, up, back, and down in a circular motion. Here's a little side view from Brent. Thank you very much. Our progression, we can increase the range of motion that we're going, and we can just increase the number of repetitions that we're using. A regression is we can decrease the range of motion and fewer reps. The next one we got is our chair sit to stand. So we're going to start at a seated position at the edge of our chairs with our core engaged, with our feet flat on the floor. And we're going to stand up, pushing through our heels, using our leg muscles to stand fully up. And then we're going to sit back down. And then we're going to do that one more time. We're going to sit back down. Beautiful. So to increase the progressions here, we can increase the number of repetitions, or we can lower the chair, and we could even add some more weight in our hands with some dumbbells. A regression is use arm rest to help yourself push yourself off, or just use a higher chair for assistance. Last one. Our next one is going to be standing side leg raises. So you're going to stand next to your chair, feet hip width apart. We're going to hold on to our chair or the wall for support if that's what you have. We're going to lift one leg out to the side, keeping it straight. And then we're going to bring it back in. Bring it out, and then bring it back in. We can use a resistance band to increase the difficulty. We can add ankle weights or just the number of reps that we do. And then we're going to switch to the other foot. For a regression, we can lower the range of motion or just lessen the number of reps that we use.
So the next exercise we're going to have for our patients with arthritis is the calf raise. So we're going to be standing with our feet a hip width apart. We can hold onto a chair or a wall for support with this one. And then we're slowly going to rise onto the balls of our feet. And then lower ourselves back down. A progression for the calf raise includes performing more repetitions, or you can add weight by holding a dumbbell in your offhand. A regression of the calf raise includes performing fewer repetitions or decreasing the range of motion. SPA principles for the calf raise. This exercise is promoting stability by using support, and it can be adapted to match the participant's ability level. Our next exercise is going to be the wall push-up. Standing facing a wall, we'll place our hands on the wall at shoulder height. We're going to bend our elbows and bring our chest towards the wall. Then we're going to push ourselves back out towards the starting position. A progression for this is to move our hands lower on the wall, which is going to make it more difficult lowering our center of gravity, or we're going to perform regular push-ups on the floor if wall push-ups are too easy. A regression is to put your hands higher up on the wall, works in the opposite way of the progression. And then SPA principles for this is this exercise offers a stable surface and can easily be progressed or regressed by changing your hand position depending on your ability. Our next exercise is going to focus on more of that mind-muscle connection using our hands. It's the finger and thumb touches. So extending one hand out in front of us, palm facing away, you're going to touch each fingertip with your thumb, making an O. A progression for this is to increase the speed at which you're touching each of those fingers with that thumb, and a regression would be to go slower. SPA principles for this is this exercise is easily adaptable and can be performed seated or standing, and this is going to help with that mind-muscle connection, keeping good control of your fingers. The next exercise that we have is a seated row with a resistance band. So the instruction for this is going to be to sit on the floor with our legs extended. We're going to wrap a resistance band around the soles of our feet. We're going to hold the band with both hands, or one hand in this case, and pull back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, getting a good contraction. A progression for this would be to use a heavier resistance band or to increase your repetitions. A regression would be to use a lighter resistance band or to decrease your reps. Our next exercise is going to be the bicep curl with a resistance band. Instructions for this one: we're going to stand on a resistance band. You can also do it seated, so placing your foot on top of the band. We're going to hold both ends of the band with our palms facing forward, and we're going to curl our hands up towards our shoulders. A progression for this is going to be to use a heavier resistance band or to increase the reps. A regression is going to be a lighter resistance band or decreasing our reps. Our sources were the Arthritis Foundation, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Exercise and Arthritis, Rheumatology.org, Mayo Clinic, and the Mayo Clinic Health System.
Thank you.